So it's a pleasure to be here with you, Lil Kim.
No, it's an honor for me to be here with you.
Oh, thank you, so sweet. I mean, you know, it's funny for me because so many people in this game I've met in settings just like this, like a conversation. And I guess basically a lot of my natural curiosity is what motivates this. So it's really interesting for me. You know, I've been in this game a long time, so I've seen people like Sha Rock and the Mercedes ladies touch the stage.
That's right. Those are the first females.
You know, the first females.
Yes,
but what's interesting is in the whole scope of the rap game over all these years, 30 plus, is very few people that hit that iconic status, that become literally pop culture figures. And I really want to say that it is amazing that you've achieved that. And it's, especially coming from Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying, as I am, it's really great.
Brooklyn in the house.
You know what I mean? Brooklyn in the house. And obviously we all know this is a very trying time for you. But I want to tell you, just from what I've seen in a few moments that we talked, you know, it's great to see grace under pressure. Moments before you arrived, I got to listen to the album, which is called
The Naked Truth.
The Naked Truth, as an appropriate title. Is that a title that you came up with?
Actually, one of my boss ladies at my record company, I just love her. She like my big sister. Her name is Julie.
Okay.
Yeah, Julie Greenwald. She actually came up with the title. Because everyone, I've got so much support from my record company and so much support from my peoples around. And everyone was so into the album. So as I was recording the album, Julie Greenwald, Leor, Kevin Loud, Mike Kaiser, they'd come by like 3 times a week. And that was like crazy to me, considering most of my career, I hardly knew any of the A&Rs there. So this album, I would see everyone all the time, and they were so into it. So one day, you know, Julie came to the studio and she said, "Do we have a title for the album yet?" And I said, "Nope." "You got one?" And she was like, "Give me a few days, I'm gonna think about it." She came back, she was like, "Okay, I got it." I said, "What?" She was like, "The Naked Truth." I was like, We lived with it for a few days, and as the days went on, we would say it more. Just fit. Perfect.
That's incredible. Well, like literally, you know, this is a really great album. I like it. It's the most that I've liked your music since your first record.
Thank you.
And I had a great experience one time walking into a strip club in Brooklyn, and every girl dancing, swinging on them poles was singing some of them incredible lyrics from your first record. It really made me realize like that you were really hitting a key chord with those ladies, of course, and obviously now many millions of others. But relating to this album, why do you think it is that people are saying that this is your best record ever? And I'm agreeing with them.
I would like to get into those people's mind and ask them too, but I can understand why they would like appreciate this album more than like my second album and my third album. Although I feel like my third album was a very important album, and it was a great album also that kind of got, didn't get enough attention. And my second album, I was just going through a whole lot. I can understand. But the one good thing about every album that I've made, I've always maintained a consecutive platinum status with all those records. By the grace of God. Like, I've never went under platinum or platinum and a half or 2 million. Like, it's always stayed the same. So that means my hardcore base is there. Like, they're feeling my growth and, you know, my evolution. It's not like they don't understand what direction I'm going in. But this album, I think people like they're receiving it more. They're feeling me. They're feeling my movement. They're feeling the things that I'm going through because of my situation that I just gone through with the trial and everything. I think when you go through stuff like that, people sometimes know that it could be hard to bounce back, and know that it could be hard to even stay focused and even do an album under those circumstances. So I think people were kind of like, damn, I don't know if she's going to be able to make an album under them circumstances.
And you stood up.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why people are even like, yo, wow.
The Source magazine gave you 5 mics.
Thank you.
That's major.
That's
major.
You know,
how does that make you feel? I mean, they have not thrown 5 mics out there lightly, you know?
Well, first of all, I feel like it's a blessing. I am very happy and proud of The Source and Dave and Benzino for recognizing my talent. Because it's about nothing but my talent. And this is the one thing that I love about everybody's reception to my album is that they're putting aside all of the pasties. They're putting aside all of the sexual...
putting aside all the pasties?
Like, you know, the clothing, the pasties and stuff, you know, from the MTV Awards.
That was a crazy look when you let it all hang out, Mama. That was so bold. But how did you feel?
You know me, I'm like, what? I'm coming through and I'm in the building.
You definitely represented. I remember Diana Ross doing the little jingling baby thing. But how did you feel when the Janet Jackson situation happened, which was not unlike your situation at the VMA Awards?
Yeah, well, I always tell everybody all the time, if she would have used the left, she would have used the left breast, this would have never happened.
There we go. Well, there we got the answer, Janet.
That's my girl, though. I think it was just, you know, it was what it was, and, you know, I don't even want to comment on it. It's done and over with. It's back then, but I love Janet, and, you know, TV's TV, controversy.
And let them hang out, right?
Yeah.
We're not mad at that. But now, seriously, back to the album. What's your favorite cut on the record, on The Naked Truth? Because I heard some reggae flavors. I heard some things they're going to make them go crazy in Brooklyn. They're going to be licking and all that kind of business.
See, on my album, it's so hard because that's the whole thing. I love every song, and I think that's also one of the reasons why This Was decided to probably give me 5 mics. Is like, this is, like, you could just put the album in and not press fast forward. And not only that, but I didn't just do an album of just regular songs where I was just talking about, you know, clothes, having a nice car. Like, there's some substance in those records. I have a song.
There's a lot of flavor. And it's a lot of personal stuff, too. I mean,
you
really, I listened to the record carefully, so you touch on a lot of issues and you bring it to some people.
Yes,
you know?
That's another thing that separates this album from the Bella Mafia, well, not even more so Bella Mafia, but Notorious K.I.M., Hardcore, and La Bella Mafia. Hardcore was great, has a lot of classics on it, but I never really got as personal on any of those albums that I got on this album.
Point.
Yeah, you know, so I think people were kind of like waiting for that, because they weren't into my life so much for the last 3-4 years.
I see.
So they probably want to know what's going on with Kim. I think one of my favorite songs would be Brooklyn. There's an album on my song called Last Day. It's very deep. You know, when you get there, you have to listen to it. I think a lot of my heart...
That's the last song, if I'm not mistaken.
Last song.
That was very touching, being that your situation is X amount of days and a day.
So it's a deep song. So that's like...
Was it 365 in a day?
Yeah. A year and a day. So, you know, that is what it is. But hopefully on this album, like I was going to say, I have a song called Slippin'.
Slippin'. Who's that singing?
That is Denan from, you know, the group D12?
Okay.
From Eminem's group.
He's singing?
He's singing. He produced the song, he produced the track. He's singing on it. He's like a close friend of mine. I love him because he's very creative musically. You know what I'm saying? He plays. People
so
don't know
conceptually, you guys were collaborating on the ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, did he bring that track and you had those words?
He brought the track and the hook actually, because he was like him. You know, I was watching the situation, and a lot of people did that.
So they were inspired by what was going on in your life, all the drama, the court, the trial, the whole thing.
All I had to do was write to the verse. You know, to make the 16 bar verses fit, because the whole song was like, the concept was his, and he just watched me and was like, dope, you know? And I like that song because there's a message in the song. That's the one song on my album that gives a message to hip-hop, you know, and I like that song. This
is the pre-show for Hip Hop Honors, which is a big endeavor. You know, I'm one of the producers on the show.
Yes.
We've been working so hard. Thanks so much, baby. And really, it's just so many things that come through my mind in terms of the fact that so much of this culture came from adversity. People, you know, backs up against the wall, coming from, you know, the lowest of the low in the hoods from coast to coast. And now you were put in a situation where your back, in a sense, was up against a wall. I mean, you're facing something that's very major in anybody's life. Any amount of time taken away from any of us is a lot of time.
It's too much time.
It's too much time. So, in a way, have you felt that this has inspired what could be your greatest work? The fact that you were just bombarded with all of this pressure, all of this weight?
I definitely feel like that, because when I was sitting at that long table in that courtroom, and you know, they were like, you know, guilty, and the judge, they convicted me. My whole thing was, okay, they done messed up now. That was my whole thing. They done messed up now, because I'm going to go in the studio and I'm going to make the best album I've ever made in my life.
That's what's up.
And I'm going to pour everything into it, my heart and soul, and The Naked Truth. Because, you know, that whole situation that I went to is so much more deeper than it looks from the outside. And I have a DVD coming out about that situation, because us celebrities in the industry, we really don't get a chance to step outside and look in. Being in that situation, I was on the outside, believe it or not.
What do you mean being on the outside, meaning?
Because I was in that situation. I was on the inside and the outside at the same time, meaning like I've seen other people go through this. So I'm looking from their situation from the outside, you know, looking in. But now I'm in that situation, but I'm not, what I'm saying is I'm on the outside, I'm not in the industry no more, so I'm kind of on the outside of there looking into them. And I'm seeing the industry for the first time from that perspective. From another
perspective, I see.
You know what I mean? It's very deep. And what I saw, I'm damn, the industry has no idea what's going on. And it's deep. So we have to really keep our eyes open in this industry. We have to really be careful what we're saying. We have to really kind of grow up and be mature and responsible, you know?
Tell me, what's it going to be like for you when this record comes out and you're not going to be out here to enjoy it?
I mean, that's a harsh feeling, you know. That's terrible. Damn. Because, you know, one of the most adrenalines and highs in this game is being on stage and seeing the people receive you doing your new songs. It's being in a club and seeing the people dance to your music and have fun. That's one of the highest, you know, highs. And unfortunately, I, you know, won't be here to see that. And that's like, dang, that's one of the biggest things I'm going to miss. You know what I mean? And because I love my fans. I love to make people happy. Like, I love to see people smiling, and to know that some of it is because of me, it just makes me feel good. That's why I do what I do, you know.
So how do you feel you've changed in this past year? I guess you've said that in so many ways, but I mean, you've definitely grown up. You've grown up musically. You have to grow up in order to face what you're about to face. I mean, obviously, by the time this airs, or while this is airing, you know, you're not here. You know what I mean? This is being pre-taped, obviously.
Definitely.
I mean, you know, it's going to be interesting for you.
Yeah, I mean, this whole situation really kind of forced me to grow up and forced me to take on my own responsibilities. Not to say that I was never mature, but there's, you know, everyone has that certain thing that they need to, you know, fix in their life, or, you know, that certain, you know, flaw in their life, and, you know, that they know that they need to fix about themselves. And I started recognizing those things, not just through the trial, but even over the last 3 years, you know, that I've been going through other situations.
Right.
And that's why when I said, you know, hip-hop, we need to be a little bit more responsible, I'm not saying that you just succumb to any bull, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you don't let anybody take advantage of you. You always stand for what you believe in, because, you know, you fall for anything.
So, yeah, Kim, about being a strong person, I mean, just break that down again for us.
Yeah, well, basically what I'm saying is that in this industry, you're going to have to work around people you don't like. You're going to have to work around people who you do like, and those that you don't like is obvious. You know what? Stay away from them, because, number one, there's so much, you know, at stake here. Not just us, our lives and our career, but, you know, there's a lot of money involved, but more importantly, you as a person. At the end of the day, you have to go home and still be a person. And a lot of us in the industry have kids, family that, you know, you're not going to want to be apart from, or you're not going to want to not ever see again, you know?
Is there a special someone in your life right now?
No. I mean, I have, yeah, I mean, you're making me blush. You know, I have family.
So, tell me, Kim, how have you spent some of your last time? I mean, you know, your last couple of months, let's say. I mean, knowing what you know, that you're about to step in to the big house, if you will. Well, how have you been spending this last few months? Obviously, taking care of your record business. Have you made a bunch of videos?
Yes, I've made a bunch of videos.
Okay, so we'll be seeing a lot of you.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I definitely, I've been working, you know, I've had full days, let's put it that way. Like, there's no time for basically sleep. There's no time for resting or vacation. And everybody kept saying, oh, Kim, you need to just have fun. You need to go out. You need to go on vacation. You need to go to Miami. Because they know I love to go to Miami.
Yeah, Miami's right.
Yeah, but I haven't been able to do any of that. I mean, the closest I got to Miami was the VMAs, and I was working that whole time. So
what are your plans for the next few days?
Well, for the next few days, you know, of course I'm gonna spend it with my family, but I'm also gonna be working. There's no time to just say, all right, I'm gonna take Friday to myself. Even the day before I go in, I don't have to myself. I'm doing another video, so I'll be sleeping inside when I get there.
So who are you gonna miss the most in the next year? I mean, besides, I know you're gonna miss your family, and who you gonna keep closest to you?
Man, that's a hard question because there's so many people in my life that have been very important, very influential, and very supportive. So, you know, first, of course, I would say I'm gonna miss my mom. Like, she's my best friend, and we live together now, so I'm gonna miss my mom, I'm gonna miss my brother, I'm gonna miss my nieces and nephews, because I have 1,000 nieces and nephews. You'll see some of them in the video. Oh, hey, Titi Kim, Auntie Kim, Titi Kim. You know, they call me Titi Kim. So, you know, I'm gonna miss my nieces and nephew. I'm gonna miss my cousins. I'm gonna miss, you know, my whole Queen Bee staff, like Hillary. I'm gonna miss, you know, I'm gonna miss everybody. Hustle Hard, Dana, G, everybody, Zoe. All my closest friends, I'm gonna just miss them. Everyone that's around me because they're so supportive.
So, this time is going to go fast, obviously. I mean, even though it's a long time, boom, you're back on the street. What are some of the plans for when you hit us again?
See, when I come home, I'm sure I'll be probably thinking differently. I don't know what's going on. Right now, I'm just, you know, focusing on my music. But when I come home, I don't know if I'm going to just chill for a second or go right into the studio. My plan now is to go right into the studio and start doing some movies.
Have you given any thought to what Big would think about this situation that you're in and what led to this?
Big is a very supportive person no matter what you go through in your life. That was some of the same qualities we had alike. Like, no matter what. And like, one thing I remember when I first started, when the first show I ever did, it was a big show because it was something that Puffy had put together with Biggie and some of his other artists that was at the label at the time. I think Mary or Jodeci, one of them might have been on the bill, but it was huge. You know, it was a lot of people. And the song came on, I think it was Players Anthem, and I came on stage and I had this presence that the crowd just stood up and roared. But when I grabbed the mic, you couldn't hear anything. It was like my adrenaline was pumping, and I was just like, and I was like, what happened? And Puffy was just like, oh, you was just excited. You know, that happens. Yes. He was like, that happens. Don't worry about the next show would be better. So I did the next show, and the same thing happened. So I said, oh, no, this is clearly a problem. And it happened a third time. And the third time, I knew something was wrong. And after the show, I got in the car, and, you know, Big, when we got in the limo, this was always our seat. Big would get that seat right there near the window, and I would get the other seat near the other window. Okay. And I would sit there. And after that third show, I started crying. It was like, Mook, because he called me Mook. Mook, what's wrong? I was like, nothing. He was like, so when we got to the hotel, I stormed out my room. And he knew something was wrong, but he just didn't know what it was. He just looked in the ear, looked at everybody like, here we go again. Because I was the only girl, so I was like the little baby. And he came up the steps. And when I went up the steps, he followed me up the steps. And he came in my room and was like, what's wrong? You know, like, I can't perform right. Every time I come on stage, nothing comes out. And he was like, listen, this is what we're going to do. He's like, it's just that, you know, your adrenaline pumping, you hype. You got to practice. You got to practice. So that man went and made me get a brush out my handbag, look in the mirror, and he like in the mirror saying my lyrics with me, and he looked so funny. And that was the one thing about me.
Love to see that.
He makes a funny situation out of the most serious, the most negative, and he just made me laugh, and I couldn't even be mad anymore. And then from then, everything was smooth sailing. Like, my shows have been incredible.
Without question, you're one of the sexiest women in pop music, and definitely that's something that you work. I mean, you have songs where you get into the specifics, you know what I'm saying, and you really lay it out there. In the beginning, was this something like, I remember having a conversation with Big and him telling me a little bit about you. And then I remember, like, he told me, what it's going to be like, and this one's going to do this, and then he talked about you. I was like, wow, that had never been done before.
Yeah.
So when you hit, I just remember that image of you in that poster, the way you were squatting. I mean, the idea was, that was crazy.
Big picked that picture. Because I had done crazy numerous pictures. And there was the one with the leopard, and I was in the window, and I just did the pose, naturally. And it came time for us to look at the slide sheets to pick for, the album. And, the record company had picked their favorites, but that wasn't in the picks. And they was like, hey, look, we got to go with that one. And we went with that picture, and I've been labeled a sex symbol ever since.
But it's a direction that you've taken and embraced wholeheartedly, and obviously done it really well. I mean, it's interesting because, you definitely have a very, sexual vibe about you, you know what I'm saying? And that's something that you've developed. And some of the songs on this record, you've definitely taken it there on the Naked Truth.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, well, the album cover was actually supposed to be me naked, but they would never put that in K1 or any other source. I'm
an old friend with David LaChapelle, and I remember him seeing the pictures. I think it was for the cover of Interview magazine.
He's great.
Where you had the Louis Vuitton stenciled all over your nude body, which was an amazing shot.
That's one of my favorite iconic pictures. Like that picture's in everybody's, album book. Everybody's, That's a great picture. And
I've seen pictures, I'm sure you've seen too, with just sometimes when you are performing, you've had wardrobe malfunctions. What's that like for you when those images start bouncing back?
A lot of people thought that, after a while, that's a part of her show.
That what? What do you mean?
Because for so long, my boobs been coming out on a lot of my shows.
Okay, they just spill out.
Yeah, so like the first 5 times people were like, ooh, but then after that they were like, okay, this is happening all the time. But for some reason, they just want to be stars sometimes.
They have minds of their own.
And because that would be the worst thing. Listen, that's a whole nother show, whole lot more money. You got to pay the CD, so I'm not gonna just be giving them out for free.
That's what's up, baby. You make them pay.
That's right. So, I fixed that problem. Sorry, guys.
Let me ask you a question. How do you think hip-hop's going to change in the next year, if you could? I mean, your record's going to be a major part of the musical landscape. A lot of females trying to get in the game. Without question, I mean that from the heart. It's a great record. But how do you think, if you do, hip-hop can change or will change in the next year?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the thing about the females, because now, fortunately, since I've gotten 5 mics, I'm glad that happened, because now I could be an inspiration to a lot of the other females in the industry.
You're definitely the first woman.
Yeah, I am the first woman to give 5 mics. So that's an inspiration to those in the industries. Thank you. And out of the industry, because this game is very intimidating by the males to the females. So a lot of females probably are scared to get into it. They feel like I'll never get treated like the male. But now it gives them inspiration. My whole album can give them inspiration. Because I love, and I wish that a lot of us females could get along. But sometimes it's just not like that.
On one of the songs, you talk about the fact that people talk about whether or not Kim has had plastic surgery. I mean, plastic surgery is so much a part of American culture now. Obviously, it's been going on for a long time.
Especially Hollywood.
It's Hollywood, it's Brooklyn, it's in every state. I mean, women have the ability right now to do many different things. But how do you feel when you are Lil Kim and people want to attack you or they want to say things about that? How does that make you feel?
I just made a song for that. Shut up, bitch.
Shut
up. Because it's really not that deep. I don't know what it is about me that everyone just wants to, pick on me, whatever. But, I guess I'm the realest with it. So, the realest always have to pay the consequences for being the realest and being the boss.